K Street shooting, a jury could not reach a verdict on second-degree murder charges against DeAndre Martin and Imtula Payton. The uncertainty left in the wake of this mistrial, now prompting frustration from families impacted by Sacramento's deadliest mass shooting, who have been waiting for years for justice.
They dropped the ball. The DA dropped the ball. The judge dropped the ball. That courtroom is like a circus.
I got a slap in the face. I literally got a slap in the face by this system we call justice.
Both suspects still face punishment on felon in possession firearms convictions. Earlier in the trial, jurors were asked to decide whether defendants acted in self-defense or carried out a premeditated gang-related attack. I spoke with Sacramento legal expert Candace Fields. She shared her perspective on the mistrial and says the key question now is whether prosecutors will retry the case.
The jury could not make a decision whether or not there was premeditation before guns were fired. And they could not even determine whether or not these defendants were guilty of an intentional death. Therefore, they informed the court and a mistrial was declared. It means that the evidence is not entirely clear that these individuals came to the scene with any intention whatsoever of aiming and firing at people.
The shooting left a lasting mark on Sacramento's downtown community, raising public safety concerns and leaving some still living with the trauma of that night as families continue seeking justice. Fields, who followed the case closely, broke down the key arguments on each side.
On the prosecution side, they were arguing that whether the planning occurred long before the arrival at the club or at some point before shots were fired, these individuals made decisions to intentionally shoot at each other and end up killing each other or third parties. However, the defense was arguing that a shot was heard. There was nothing but self-defense as the motivation. There was no premeditation, and therefore these two defendants were not guilty of the crimes charged. What remains to be seen is whether the DAs refile charges against these defendants or let the matter go.
If they let the matter go, it's just these lesser charges that stick. What type of punishment are the defendants looking at?
They're still looking at real time. However, we're not talking about life sentences anymore. We're talking about shorter sentences. These are young men, both of them. And as it stands now, despite the fact that many people lost their lives and were injured, these particular defendants are facing much, much smaller time, just limited to the charges related to being felons who should not be possessing firearms. Regardless of the outcome today, what we have is a terrible fact pattern. People died, people were injured. What occurred that night not only affects the victims, their families, but the entire city and our community as a whole. It's a tragedy. However, today, what was decided was that the facts were not obvious enough to generate convictions by this particular jury. These defendants have been found guilty of gun charges, and it remains to be seen what happens next.